let's go ahead and get the Finance Administration Committee going. Deanna, if you'll note attendance, we'll go ahead and proceed on to approval of the agenda. Any additions, comments, or questions in regard to the agenda? Assuming no objections, we'll move ahead with the agenda as presented. All right, moving ahead. So first item, public comments. Are there individuals either online or in attendance in the meeting who wish to make public comment before the committee? And if so, go ahead and raise your hand online. If not, if you're here, raise your hand here. And I do not see any hands up at this time. All right, with that, we'll go ahead and close public comments. And we'll move into the approval of the minutes dated February 21, 2024. Any questions or comments in regards to the minutes as presented? Chair has none. Committee members, none. All right. Any objections to approval of the minutes as presented? If not, the minutes are approved. Move on to approval of claims report dated March 11th, 2024. PDF is attached in here. I've received no questions in email. Chair has no questions in regards to the warrants as presented. Committee, any questions? All right. Any objections to approval as presented? All right, we'll take the warrants as approved. All right, let's go to Human Services Advisory Funding Update.
So this was my item, and it was really just for informational purposes. The Human Services Advisory Committee met last week to review the second half of 2023 accountability forms. So I have included those for your review and information, and the committee approved issuing funding for the first half of 2024. So we're sending those out now. And it was just the amount that's already budgeted.
And I apologize, I should have been in attendance. I'll just leave it at that. Any questions or comments in the material as presented?
I appreciate what they do for the community.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we fund them.
All right, let's move on to discussions. First discussion will be solid waste contract discussion. Okay.
Same one you just had literally in the last meeting.
Long time no see. Yeah, I'll keep it brief because same exact presentation as the last one. Just an update to council. But evening, Patrick Fry, project engineer, City of Snoqualmie. So you might remember last month that well, I guess I should start. So I'm just going to provide a brief update about where we are in the solid waste contract. Also provide you guys with some documents and kind of let you know where next steps are headed. Just some background. City staff presented on the solid waste contract January 17th and then went to council on February 6th. That was essentially getting approval to run with the RFB method, going out for bid as opposed to the RFP. Now about that, it is a streamlined process. So things are going to be moving rapidly for the next few months as a result of that. But it allows us to get a new hauler in here starting June 1st, 2025. And so here's the timeline of events coming up. So March 5th, today, Parks and Public Works and Finance Committee. And where I'm going to be disseminating a bunch of information to you. Then on March 25th, we'll have I'll be back at council, and the expectation there is we can really dive in and kind of hammer out exactly what council members want as the level of service for their solid waste contract. Then on April 15th, we'll release the RFB that's going out to all the haulers, so that they can start preparing their bids. Bids due May 7th. May 21st, going to be bringing those bids into council, and then May 28th, council approval. And then the new contract would start June 1st. I should also say that right now, the haulers have been sent the contract that I'm also going to be giving you guys right now. That's for industry review so that they can kind of go over it and look at it and just make sure that anything wonky just gets called out before it's out. So just so you know, really, as the contract stands right now, subject to change based on your guys' input, really the level of service isn't changing a whole lot. So, you know, the big ticket items that you think of when you're thinking of your garbage service, they're staying the same. So, you know, it's still weekly garbage, recycling, compost. Still collecting holiday trees around that time. You can still purchase the bear carts. They're still planning to attend the community events that they normally do, etc. Yep.
One bullet, so the existing carts will transfer, what's the 50% buyout cost for dumpsters?
So essentially, the dumpsters at the end of this, dumpsters are expensive, and they can be opted to be purchased by the new hauler at 50% of the cost of the original cost, and then the dumpsters just stay right where they are. And so it's a way to make the new hauler happy because they don't have to go buy brand new dumpsters for everybody at a discounted rate, but it also makes the old hauler happy because they get to sell the dumpster at a cost. And so other jurisdictions, just for reference, they might say that you have to give the dumpsters for free to the new ones. That wasn't in our current contract, so we can't do that. But so some level of service, just big ticket items, things that you might want to think about over the next few weeks while you're reviewing the 100-page contract that I'm going to give you is, you know, we could allow for additional yard waste bag pickups. Do we want to keep waste management attending at least 2 community events? Do we want to add a annual no-cost residential bulky items? That's like being able to get rid of a single couch per year for free. Every residence, that's something that we could add. And do we want to stick with weekly recycling and composting? All of these things, just they're obviously going to incur either costs or savings. So that bulky item, you know, adding that is going to obviously up the rates. Lowering weekly services is going to lower the rates. So it's just a balancing act and just a determination of what, you know, council thinks is the best way forward. So really, what do I need from you guys is just in the next 3 weeks, review. I'm going to give you guys paper copies of the contract. Just that's my preferred method. But I'll also be sending out digital copies to you guys. Mark it up, go over anything that you want. And then you can feel free to send me any emails or give me a call if you have any questions or comments. If something just pops into your head and you think, hey, I want to bring this up in council on the 25th, feel free to just send it to me and I'll just have a list ready. And then that way also that gives me time to prepare. So if there's any sort of additional information that would be helpful to have for that, then I can, you know, have it right on hand. But really that's about it. So give you guys the contracts. Go. I highlighted a couple major things. If you're only gonna like review a couple sections, it's that section you should look at, but I recommend you look at everything, the whole contract. Yeah.
In your email that goes out, we remind the council to reply directly to you,
And not reply all.
not do a reply also. We're not doing a open public meeting and email.
Yep. All right.
I'm sorry, I think you literally just said this.
Go ahead.
Thanks. This is not public facing currently, correct?
It is not, but I think it will be.
Existing contract. right?
Oh,
No.
this is the existing.
No,
Oh,
No, no.
this is,
sorry.
this is a draft of the new one.
Okay.
But it's going out today. If you send it out today
To haulers.
For
Um,
industry
for
review.
industry review. All
Yeah.
right, so it's in essence public.
It's public.
Okay.
It's public now.
Yeah, all right. Thanks.
Kill the share.
Didn't say kill the chair.
No, I said kill the share.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, kill this year. Okay. No, not kill the chair. What is he going on about? I'm not-
Moving on.
All right, then council retreat planning. I think we have a draft council retreat agenda. And then did we have,
Let's see him online. When was he gonna join, do you know? We received.
I don't see, I thought we were gonna have the
So.
facilitator online tonight.
I thought so as well.
Okay, let's go ahead and do,
Yes, whenever.
Oh, I don't know this one.
all right, so we'll do some WCIA training, do's and don'ts for council members. Getting to know you icebreaker. Council priorities, goals, objectives, which will be the bulk of, I assume. And then council roles and responsibilities. Question for financial forecast, economic development, or how, I don't, yeah, go ahead.
So so some of these were the suggestions that I sent to the committee and staff. And that was based on just my understanding of our prior discussion about what we thought could be priorities to discuss, and there's only limited time in a day. So as much as it'd be great to talk about everything, I thought perhaps one of those other topics might be of preference.
Right, I'm not feeling an itch that I really need to dive in on council roles and roles and responsibilities. I don't think we're out of channel at the moment. So I would not have. I'd love to have a discussion on economic development or housing.
My guess is that we're gonna talk a lot about financial forecast over the next year. Yeah, so I think economic development could be something that would be a new topic that could be of interest. Obviously, we've all as a council discussed how important housing is to us, and that will continue to be. So one of the ways I'm leaning is perhaps toward the economic development, only because as a topic, it's been one we've talked about less, I think, as a whole council.
Does staff have any issue? I assume we're gonna need some help in that discussion.
No.
No? We're not gonna need help, or no, you don't have an issue?
No, I don't have any issue.
Yes,
And no, I don't think we will need much help. We just sent two people off to a conference on economic development, so it is a timely topic.
Cool. Okay, so why don't we swap council roles and responsibilities? Swap in economic development discussion. For roles and responsibilities. And we'll have to see how status quo or shake things up, conversation goes. And then council connection with public, and you had a comment about adding a community partner,
Yeah,
invite them to the meeting? How do I interpret that?
right, so it was more just the specific thing as it's written was council connections with the public, and the way that I interpret it was in the draft proposal we had before was that meant like regular people rather than necessarily being inclusive of organizations and stuff. Now, that may have been the intent, to be inclusive of organizations that are important to the city and to our citizens, but that wasn't how I originally read it. So I thought that one of the things we talked about previously in this committee was our relationship with some of the other organizations, governments that are in the area. For example, how do we communicate and how are we working proactively with Skyview Parks? That could be a relationship that we want to foster a little bit better relationship with. Just as an example, I could pick out any particular group, but yeah, I thought that could be something that's important to the concept.
Would you guys entertain the concept? Let's, I think, add, I'm not sure. I'm not viewing this as the shake-up characters at the moment. That we've had these goals and objectives and we're just reaffirming moving forward. Then we may get into the discussion, but I think that's a pretty light agenda in the afternoon. Why don't we specifically add an agenda item for community partners?
So to have the discussion or to include like a specific time to meet with them?
No, to have the discussion of who are the community partners we ought to be engaging with, how we think that engagement ought to take effect.
How we're doing it now.
How we're doing it now and what we hope to get out of it.
Sure.
Yeah. All right, hopefully, is it Andrew? All right, hopefully Andrew will get the recording here and hear the discussion. Okay? And I'd love to hear what the thoughts are on a council podcast.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? Is what we do to our meeting.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, we'll go from there. All right.
So who wants to, so EDC, for instance, what? I mean, that's broad. I think we have our goals, stuff, council goals. Then we're going to go through those earlier in part 3.
Oh, I see.
And so I guess line them up with, because economic development is your tourism. It's going to be like the mill site, and there's a whole bunch of things that are considered economic development. So is there anything specific you want to hone in on, or what?
I don't have it. Go ahead. I don't have an answer at the moment.
Yeah, I don't either at the moment. I have an answer for that question. But just as a comparison to part 3, I think the council priorities and goals and objectives is very holistic across the board. Like, public safety, what are our goals there? For our parks, community centered expansion. The list just goes on and on of all the broad things that go under council priorities, goals and objectives. Whereas this is a specific thing out of that list, sort of like a focus item. Relatively speaking to the whole. I realize, of course, economic development is a big topic too, very much to the mayor's point. But it's more specific than the city.
Because we also have the council tracker, and I think there's different economic development projects in there. And so are we, I guess, review those? I don't know. Looks like Emily, our economic expert, has her hand up.
I already heard it from Councilmember Johnson about retention, recruitment and retention. And I can share some of the insights that I learned from the Economic Development Conference about what are the abutting new technologies that we should be aware of, and how could we recruit those if those are industries that we want to bring to Snoqualmie.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Chair. And so do you also see the training, part 1?
Yeah. Well, actually, the list
Going
changed
along.
on me here.
WCIA.
The WCA training?
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to bring that PDF on the council retreat agenda back up? Yeah, so I saw the first item was the WCIA training do's and don'ts. Director Ann Burnett and council do's and don'ts. Okay. And that would the purpose for that one being? Do you think we're doing things we shouldn't,
Well,
or?
it kind of speaks to the city's risk. There are risk insured, right? So
Okay.
we have some new council members, and I think it would just be a good conversation training for them.
I always appreciate having those trainings at the front end instead of at the back, so I would appreciate that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and there could be some things that I'm rusty on that it'd be a good reminder for. And certainly for new council members, I wonder if we could squeeze something about maybe it doesn't have to be the full required training you're supposed to do on the Open Public Meetings Act, but at least just a briefing on some of those highlights. I don't know if everyone is all up to date on that.
And I can provide some training resources for that as well. I'm not sure exactly what their training it is laid out, but I can get some information about that. I'm not sure if they cover the open government training or not. I think it's more like from the risk side.
Interesting. Just throwing it out there, I do wonder about some of our commissions as well. Is everyone up to date on that? And should we schedule one of those for commissions and council anyway?
They are required to take it within 90
Right.
days of being appointed, so I've been.
So I don't know if we've scheduled an OPMA training or not, but
I think those are the ones you just do online, and then you report back to Dina for your annual.
okay,
application.
we had done it, but okay. Yeah.
Maybe you need to check and see.
Any other discussion in regards to that? I will go grab a copy of our council procedures and we send that out in email for everybody to get brushed up on and think about. We may have further discussions on that, but we'll have it outside of the council retreat. All right, upcoming agenda items. And hold off on that. We'll go to review draft city council agenda. Roundtable again at 6 p.m. Comprehensive plan, housing, transportation, and capital facilities. That should take us about an hour. Then we'll adjourn and start it again. Go ahead, Nita.
So we are going to move the housing one down to committee reports. It'll be an agenda bill. And so that will leave under special business, the transportation and the capital facilities and utilities.
Okay. Do we think that'll take, those two will take the full hour?
Probably.
Right, Mayor says, yeah, all right. Full hour. All right, then we'll start regular agenda at 7 p.m. Call to order, roll call, pledge of allegiance, agenda approval, public hearings, presentation proclamations as appropriate. Public comment, and on the consent agenda item, we will have approval of city council meeting minutes, approval of claims report. Can we also move up there, the agenda bill 24028 residential sewer connection?
Yes.
We'll move that up under consent agenda. And our first ordinance of the evening will be proposed amendment to SMC Title 15 Building and Construction Chapter, and this will be second reading. Can you guys take a look at at least agenda bill in the motion down below?
An email was sent out
Better if you,
yesterday.
it's better if you have me just read it than ad lib it.
An email was sent out yesterday to Director Arteche to make sure that that was addressed.
Okay, thanks.
It's addressed. I got it. I put I on there.
All right, then we'll get into committee reports, public safety, no reports, community development, no report,
So
public works.
we'll have the one for community development.
Housing,
Right.
housing.
Oh, we'll have one for housing for community development. Thought we actually had two didn't we have two agenda bills? in public?
Yeah, we had the other one with the janitorial contract.
Yeah, so
And it's, or consent as well, I think.
consent as well. So please, pick that one up. The second agenda bill of public works and put that one also on consent. Finance administration will probably have a flash ad agenda up for the council retreat up. If you guys have that ready for discussion that evening, so just a discussion item, council retreat agenda. And then we'll move into reports, mayor's reports, commission committee liaison, department reports, and executive session. There'll be 4 of them so far? Okay,
Really?
Well, one closed, 3 executive.
okay. We might want to put the wordage in there for the closed one and because they're separate wordage and whatever. So good that we're kind of keeping the agenda light if we're gonna do that many executive sessions.
And they're gonna go long. At least an hour.
Each.
No,
All right. Any questions, comments, or go backs? Mayor?
So your town hall, when are you gonna discuss that?
I'm gonna bring that back here, next meeting. I'm just not prepared tonight to have the discussion.
But you're having,
Uh,
is it at the end of this month? Your town hall?
Yes,
But we're gonna talk about it in 2 weeks, the week before the town hall? Because if you need a facilitator, if you need a place,
we will need a place.
okay?
Okay, I at least I'll get subjects out for the deliberation out in email. Been meaning to do that. I apologize for that. I'm not sure that we need opinions. Should we get a facilitator for that, or it's just us engaging with the public?
I mean, what's your format?
Yeah.
At this stage, I thought it was just us in front and public in front of us, and they get to ask their questions. You had your hand up, Councilor Johnson.
I don't know, how, easy it is to secure a facilitator. This, this close to the date, maybe it could be done, maybe not, I don't know. But if we were fielding questions, then I think we would need to have someone designated to be the one who would recognize whoever is asking the question. And that could be, the mayor pro tem or a staff member or somebody, but at any rate, there should be some organization to that, just to make sure that it flows smoothly.
So I wasn't at the last FNA, but I did listen to the audio before coming back. And it was my understanding that your thought had been kind of to go in, basically have council members bone up on it in areas that we anticipated questions from, so that we would, be prepared to give
Have a position. sheet.
responsive answers. And if that's kind of the direction we're going and we are getting that close to the deadline, I would have a few concerns about making sure that we have all the steps laid out and that it does run smoothly. I think it may be helpful to have a facilitator here to do that, who isn't involved with the responsiveness of the questions. Just to make sure it does continue moving in a smooth way. But yeah, if it's gonna be towards the end of the month, I'd worry a little bit on that timeline. If we're gonna really get into the substance of it in 2 weeks from now,
Want to push it out?
I'd rather feel like we have our ducks in a row than try to rush through it and have a less than positive
Yeah, I think I'm in
experience
agreement.
possible.
Okay, I apologize. I should have gotten my homework done. But okay. But yeah, so yes, if we could look for facilitator. As long as we're doing council retreat, if Andrew's available to help us with that, or your guys. For the most part, I take your lead on facilitators.
I was just gonna say, the other option would be to bring this to full council and talk about it next week, just
Yep.
so that the administration has the additional time, if they're able to find a facilitator, in case we wanted to go forward with
Okay.
that date that you'd initially flagged. I don't like the administration's preferences going forward either.
Well, let's put on on the agenda, a discussion item for council open house for next council meeting. Mayor, you look like you had comment?
Well, I was gonna ask, then what date are we looking at? But if you want us to pursue a facilitator for the 28th,
Yeah, I think we said.
And if we-
28.
then can't find one, then pushing out to a different date.
Then we can push out to a different date.
Do you know what date? Or I guess we'll talk about it next week.
We'll have to talk about that next week.
Yeah, let's talk about it at council. If 28 doesn't work, because it's just too quick to get this put in place and too quick to get a facilitator, what date works?
Okay.
It might, we've just had a bunch of meetings.
Mhm.
might be good to give the community a little break. To get their interest in another meeting. Go ahead, Councilor Johnson.
And then similarly, in terms of the location, a lot of facilities like to have some heads up and instead of totally last minute picking one. So I think that in the past, memory serves, we have done it at the high school. I know that Timber Ridge has a nice room where I've gone to some community meetings before. So I think the school district has some spots.
Yeah, we've
Make it
also
work.
done it at the elementary school.
Yes.
Yeah, that's yeah.
But yeah, I think it would be nice to branch out from the council chambers. Can potentially feel inviting.
Well, I think a neutral territory is
Yeah.
appropriate for this kind of discussion. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you try the school district first, see if they have a good room.
Okay, let's have the discussion in council next to see if we're
Okay.
good on date. And I think we probably need to settle on a date before we go ask for the school. Councilman Christensen.
Another thing too is we could probably talk to the fire department about holding it in the training room as well, especially if we were trying to go quickly and needed
Okay,
the space on short notice.
and that's free.
So just so you know, on the 27th, the night before, actually, we are all hosting Snoqualmie Valley Government Association meeting. No, it is dinner somewhere. So 2 nights in a row, yeah,
Yeah, that's
plus council on that Monday.
let's bring that up at our.
Quite the date.
Again, we can shift it out. I haven't committed to anything at this stage, just want to do it. And like I said, we just had a bunch of meetings, so maybe it's a good time to give us a little break, maybe do it a little later. But let's have the discussion in council in a week.
Can I have one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
So potential appointments. Commission appointment. So if we can add that, and I'll firm it up.
On the agenda?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotta let me know when you're changing subject. All right. Yes, I left that proclamations and appointments. I view that as your agenda section to have as you see fit.
All right, thank you.
All right. Where are we now? I think that was actually the end of the agenda. If I'm not mistaken. Yep. Any other subjects for discussion pop up? Any questions, concerns? All right, if not, and if there are no objections, we'll move to adjournment. Hearing no objections, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.